Apex Legends drops a major patch, and I'm here to give you the lowdown. Obviously, you guys know me from casting the ALGS. I've been hosting the competitive scene for Apex since the beginning in 2019, and I've been covering this game since day one. So it's time to take a look at the Future Icons event, which does a major thing. On my channel, earlier this week, we've given you a tier list, but we've talked a lot about several characters that need changes, Vantage being one of them, as well as Conduit. Each one of those legends that we talked about, including some other major ones, got some significant changes. I'm not talking just buffs. I'm talking changes to their hitboxes level changes that should be fundamental in changing the way, hopefully, these characters can be utilized by you, whether it's in your ranked games, whether it's just with your buddies jumping on, or in the ALGS, the Pro League, which is coming up, our midseason playoffs at the Esports World Cup in like 3 weeks, maybe less than a month. It's insane how close this is. So I'm really excited for you guys to check this out, and I'm going to walk you through these patch notes right now. I try to preface that because some of you have seen other patch notes videos. You might already have gotten a few. I'm a little bit late. I'm a dad. So, I've got some things to do. I cooked lunch for my wife and myself and took care of my daughter for 4 hours this morning. But I'm finally sitting down to make this. So, guys, even though I'm a little late, I'd appreciate a like. It helps this video get out to many people. And I'll try to make sure that there's some really good content worthy of your attention so that it's worthwhile for the wait. I appreciate you guys. All right. So the first thing that comes from this patch note is not just legend changes. It's an event. So the event, it's usually fun. Unfortunately, what Apex has done in the past with events is they have kind of used this kind of copyright music, like they've actually used a real artist. I mean, Big Steppo was one of the introductions for, I think, the season 2 seasons ago, before Sparrow came out. And, it's just going to copyright the whole video. But you guys can get an idea of what they're presenting. And one of the cool things about it is that you're seeing footage of the 1v1s that Apex is adding. Arenas gets a new spin. Instead of the 3v3s, it's 1v1s. Wattson gets some major buffs. You could see Sparrow and Ash there being utilized in that clip. There's a reason they're being utilized, as well as Vantage, not only getting a skin, but also checking out her new changes to some of her ultimates as well. Octane jumping in. Can you expect a lot for him? We'll wait and see, but like so many things with Octane, it's very possible that you will get disappointed. I mean, that's just the reality of it. But the new Prestige skin on display here in this video, big picture, one of the smart things to do, one of the things people get a little upset about sometimes is that when a legend gets dropped and there's some significant, kind of things like, oh, a new skin, well, then they get a buff. I say a buff is good either ways because it helps to identify a character that might need a little bit of help. In Wattson's case, if you looked at my tier list, she doesn't really need some help. She's still a very good legend, but she's getting even better. She may become one of the best legends in the game right now. So Arenas Duels, I mentioned this. You're going to be able to go and play 1v1. Now, I thought this meant I could challenge Vicky Kitty, my friend and caster, to 1v1s on stream, and you guys could come through, and we could finally settle this, okay? She thinks she's better at me than Smash. The truth is, you're going to actually jump into a limited time mode where you're going to be in 1v1 duels for 5 minutes, but you're going to be on a server of 30 players while you do it, and a leaderboard that's tracking your performance, such as, hey, I'm first, I've got 12 wins in these 5 minutes. Loba, you're second, you've only got 10. Can I keep climbing at the leaderboard before the time runs out to be the top at the end of it? Which I think is really cool. I kind of was worried about like how it would feel competitive or interesting or engaging, but back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth in terms of finding these fights and then different characters, different players that you're playing against, getting a win, getting a loss, getting a win. I think that's one of the only ways to balance a 1v1, because if you're stuck in an arena match and the player is just better than you, right? Like, and they just have a way of moving that's better than you are, then you're going to lose again and again and again and again and again. It's the same thing that kind of makes you go, all right, I'm done playing this. But this feels like a little bit more of a, hey, I play a good player, play a bad player, play a medium player. I could have won that one. I'm engaged. Oh, I win this one. It's great. Oh, I lose, but I've still won a few, so I feel good about myself. I think this is actually going to be really fun, and I'm excited to check this out. Let me know what you guys think down below. There will be some rewards as well that you can earn in terms of points. It's not really my main thing that I focus on, but for those who are interested, there you go. School is in session as well. There's some limited time cosmetics that show up, and it's just about being in kind of like a schoolyard dress. These aren't too complicated, and in fact, they do somehow look like recolors, or at least like, hey, they've got the varsity jackets that pretty much look the same, but there's some differences in each of the character models. You'll notice, they have different icons here for Newcastle and for Crypto. Octane gets one as well. You see Horizon, Rampart, Crypto, and Newcastle as well. Oh, and I think this is Sparrow, by the way. I think I said Crypto instead of Sparrow. So that's an exciting development. And Wattson, her prestige skin, what happens with these is you do well, you keep getting kills, it will start to evolve and change. You'll go from this to this to this, or this to this to this. Eventually you'll, level this skin up, which is really cool. I actually don't have a prestige skin in Apex, so I'm pretty excited about that. All right, well, that's kind of the fun stuff, the fluff for a lot of you who care about cosmetics right out the gate. There should be some fun stuff in this for you, but let's get to the meat and potatoes, because this is what, if you play the game a lot, if you see the ALGS, this is what you really care about. So first off, more for the casual game, you get a gold weapon rotation. Now it's the Spitfire, R301, R99, Flatline, and Akimbo Mozambiques. Not much to talk about there, but there is a little bit of foreshadowing of some of the legends that also receive some buffs as we head into what the weapon changes are. And there have been plenty of weapon changes as well. So the legends, Wattson, she gets the new skin. She also gets a brand new passive called Spark of Genius, 50% faster ult accelerant consumption. She also passively has her shield regen increased to 2 seconds, and it was 1 second. So, this is something that for me is a little bit of a split nerf buff, because she gets faster ultimate acceleration consumption. So she's going to be able to pop those ultimate accelerants, get that pylon back up very quickly, or at least quicker in terms of the action of getting the accelerant, completing it, and finishing it. But that passive shield regeneration is actually going to, no, and then that's going to increase to 2 seconds. It was 1 second. I can't tell if this is them describing it to be, it's going to take 2 seconds before it starts regenning, or if it's going to be a 2 second duration versus 1 second. That's something I'll have to find a little bit of clarity on. Maybe you guys are reading that in a way that you can find some clarity to let me know. But that's just a new passive coming up, so that should be valuable for her. Her tactical really gets the biggest amount of changes, and you could hear how they talk about it. So they're increasing the fence node, the actual perimeter security node that you put down, to 50 health instead of 25. That's a big difference. It means that you got to spend at least a few more bullets on it. For a lot of weapons, that's 3 or 4 bullets. For bigger hitting weapons like Havocs or Spitfires or Rampagers or things like that, that's still 2 to 3 extra bullets, because a lot of those hit under 23, 22, 21, 20. So you're going to find yourself kind of spending a little bit more time. And that adds up across destroying multiple nodes. So that's one element that they've changed. Then they've taken the cooldown. It was 15 seconds to place it down and then place another one. It's now 4 seconds for that cooldown. So you have the ability for these fences to start to come back and give you more options yet again, to keep having availability to, reassess where you want to put your security and where you want to create your zone for players to hold or to keep enemies out. The fences now slow sliding and jumping enemies, and they consume cooldowns on Ash's dash and Sparrow's double jump. So that means if Ash, the way I'm reading this, goes through her perimeter security, she will lose her dash. Sparrow will also lose his double jump if he goes through that, because obviously those characters, if they get slow, but then they can dash out, you kind of miss a little bit of the point of really slowing them down and being a threat. Because if Ash wants to siege you, she runs through the fence, dashes. Now she's created an angle. She's basically sieged you guys. She's not kind of a sitting duck like it's the intention for this to be now. So that's a big deal. So those characters don't have individual ways to get out of it. The fences placed across doors will electrify the doors. Okay? Stuns enemies when they open an electrified door or kicks it in. Electrification ends if the fence is obstructed or the fence is removed, and restarts when the fence is active again. Remove doors exploding when opened into the line of the fence. Okay, so how this will work. Wattson is going to try to hold down the fence, right? Hold down the door, hold down the room. It's already a pain, but when you open the door into a fence inside the building that Wattson's set up in, defending, typically that gets destroyed. Also, that's no longer going to happen. The door will just swing open. The electrocution, the fence will end, right? And so that will obviously obstruct the fence. However, one of the things is if you want to find a way to move in, um, and you end up going into that fence inside by opening that door, even though it'll kind of like stop the fence after a minute, you will still get electrified. If you try to kick in that door, you will still get electrified. So now you're going, yes, I could open the door. I might be able to stop it. Your teammates can open the door, stop that fence connecting. But if an enemy opens the door or kicks it in and tries to break in, they're going to get electrocuted and become susceptible to your damage. That is crazy because now you have to think about it. Like, how do I get into a building that a Wattson is holding? Well, you could destroy with a grenade, right? You could shoot it out. Some weapons have abilities to shoot out doors and open doors if you hit them in a certain area. I think the Scout, the Rampage, a couple of those have the ability to do that. And so you could try to shoot the door open. But if you do anything short of, if you try to run through that, normally kick it open it, you're going to get electrocuted, even though normally what that would have done is broken the fence, broken the door because of the fence, and then kind of giving you an angle to now shoot at it. So you got to be very tricky. You have to respect these fences. It means you're going to hold doors a lot easier as a Wattson. And it also means that it's going to just be a very difficult thing for a lot of players to probably get used to, who have kind of learned the mechanics of like how you can counterplay against a Wattson fence. It's a whole new way. You've got to learn how to play against Wattson. I think that in itself is going to make this really valuable for a lot of players. I'm excited to see what Wattsons can do with it. And I'm also really excited to see if that really gives her that sense of you cannot come in here. Do not try to do it. Very much like a catalyst spike or a catalyst, door, right? She makes it difficult to come into a door. I think they're trying to give Wattson something to compete with that level of defensive utility, considering she doesn't have the shields like Newcastle or Gibraltar, and she still plays basically that similar role of, I don't want you here. I'm trying to stop you from getting here. This is my space, except I do it better with doors already in place. Now it's going to be very hard. I'm not going to destroy my own doors. You know what I mean? They're not going to explode when you open into the fence. So I'm going to still have that door and my fences behind it to be able to make sure that, yeah, if you come in, you're going to get electrocuted and I'm going to shoot you. The electrification ends if the fence is obstructed and or the fence is removed, and restarts when the fence is active again. So again, I imagine that if somehow you're able to open that door, have the fence be obstructed for a while, then move in before they close the door again, then that would be valuable and you could probably get in. But yeah, it's going to be difficult. You're going to have to play this a smart way. Upgrades, Falling Stars integrated into base kit. I think that was her Arc Star perk. I'm not exactly sure. A lot of these changes actually for characters, they kind of assume that the names of each and every one of these, which, I know the ultimates and the abilities and the upgrades, but Falling Stars, Interception Pylon, spawns Arc Stars. So what's crazy is that is what I thought it was. So the Falling Stars perk, which allows you to, if like there's a grenade that's thrown or an ability, a tactical, whatever the Interception Pylon absorbs, literally that now spawns Arc Stars on the ground for you and your teammates to have extra ordinances to throw at enemies. That's just a part of what the Interception Pylon does now. That's pretty nuts. New, Help is here. Gain all support perks across all support perks. Access support bins, faster revives with health regen, gain MRB with banners. So that's a mini respawn beacon. So the idea is that she's able to act as a support, as a controller, so she can get ring console information. She can also revive faster, in many ways putting her on par in some ways with the revive capabilities of a character like Newcastle, but also keeping the ability to, have that sense of control of the map and know where that is with, being a control legend. So it's one of those things that I think is going to be very, very nice. They're giving her a ton of opportunities here to be a very effective, like just third or second or first part of your team, giving you information, holding down the kit. She's certainly going to be one of our top bans, I think, when it comes to defensive legends. And so I'm really excited to see how these things change into her. She also can choose Ultimate Conductor, which is a really exciting one. Damage to enemies is converted to ult charge, and a knock gives you a burst of 30% ult charge. So here's what's crazy about this one. If you do, say, we already have a support, right? We don't need the support access. We want more interception pylons. That's going to be huge. You know, sometimes you don't get the kill in high level play and you want that KP, but you're just going to knock somebody, right? A knock at this point means, man, I just used my ultimate. I got 30% on it already. I get a knock across the way. I'm farming with my G7 Scout, my 30-30 repeater. I'm just poking people. I got a little sniper going on. I'm held up in our building. One knock, two knock, or even just the damage that I'm doing to those enemies is now charging my ultimate faster. So by the time I go out for another fight, maybe even it could be as fast as 5 seconds later. If you get a big knock on a team, I mean, you can get your ultimate almost back instantly by killing a 3. That is insane. And you don't even have to get the kill. It's just a knock. I think that's going to be super valuable. I can't imagine, unless you have a composition where a lot of people, like, you don't have anyone with access to you know, some of these support perks and you really, really want it. I could see this has to be the #1 pick. I think this is going to give you so many more ults with Wattson, especially for players who can hit their shots, which are the good players. Level 3, new energized healer, gain double small med healing, and then power pylon, double ult HP healing rate and capacity. So basically this allows you to do what Lifeline used to be able to do, where you get like double shield cells for just doing one shield cell, or what currently the gold shield allows you to do, where you get double small meds, which is the small med, you know what? Oh yeah, small meds for shield cells and for healing. I was saying small meds thinking, does this apply to shield cells? It says healing specifically. So what this means is now those white small meds, you use one, it's as if you use 2. Obviously, this means that you can get more healing per capita of action that you take, which is really, really effective. But I can imagine that most people will still go power pylon, which doubles your ult HP, makes it stronger. The healing rate increases, and of course, and the capacity. So you're doubling all of the things that are really, really important, like the overall shielding there, the fact that it heals, and then obviously how much HP it has before it gets taken down. They say we're really excited to see the new electrified door mechanic. These are the developers of Apex added to the game, making it so enemies need to respect the fences that much more. In addition, Wattson's reduced perimeter security cooldown should make setting up fences way snappier and will make it less punishing if you have to move on. Big ups to Wattson. I placed her in S tier, I believe, already in my tier list. You guys can go take a look. I think she firmly is there now, and I have a feeling that she's going to be, you know, a lot of teams are going to be building around her, especially if this electrification works the way I think they're intending it to be, which is there's no traditional way to siege a door anymore with Wattson. You have to be very tricky. You have to shoot the door open, or you have to grenade the doors and waste an ordnance to blow those up. And yeah, I just think it's going to be exciting. All right, the next one, who recently on the other side of the coin, guys, received an F. That's right, received a literal F from me in my tier list because this character just needed some major changes. Well, isn't that so funny that what I just said now, and you guys, many of you echoed and mirrored and agreed with that conversation in the comment section below, is coming to fruition. Vantage is getting a major significant buff. Could probably lead the title of this video with the idea that Vantage is getting this big of a buff, because it's probably the biggest news in terms of character changes from bad to good, hopefully, that we're going to see in this patch. Wattson was already good. Vantage, she needs some help. Let's see what they did. So Vantage, they shrank Vantage's upper body hitbox to better match her character model. Now, the one thing I want to show you guys, really, and I want to continue to talk about, is how each character in Apex Legends has a unique model to them. So Vantage's model right here, this kind of look for this character, and let's see if we can even make this bigger. So these wide shoulders really mess things up for a character like that. You could tell almost her shoulders are almost, if you drew a line, go all the way down. They're almost the widest part of her body. Now, this obviously is art, but in game in her model, she is very clunky. It's very difficult to see Vantage utilized in a way where she can 1v1 a lot of these characters. And that has to do with your hitbox, because it is directly, as it comes out, attached to your model size. So a bigger character gets a bigger hitbox, means it's easier to hit. You just got more target to shoot at. And Vantage doesn't take 15% damage as bullets. You know, it doesn't have that passive where she takes 15% less damage like Gibraltar and Caustic. So they've changed that to better match your character model. What that probably means is they've made it a little smaller. It was probably too big. And so I think they've made it a little smaller. I would say overall it probably lost volume area. And so hopefully that feels a lot better for Vantage players. Passive, Spotter's Lens. So her passive can now ping up to 3 enemies at a time. You can see the health bars of targeted enemies. And pinging an enemy will reveal their position when further than 50 meters away. So this is actually just one of those things that changes for Vantage. You know, she gets half the distance to where it starts working. This is one of those things where it's like you start to see value earlier. So these enemies can be closer to her, and she'll start seeing value. And that's kind of the key for that. And that's very important, you know, to make use of this. 100 meters away. How many fights in Apex are consistently happening 100 meters away? I mean, not a lot. Sometimes you're fighting and doing that, but it's a very specific scenario. 50 meters, much more likely that you're going to be either chasing or being chased or in an engagement with a squad that happens to be just a little over 50 meters away than 100 meters. So this makes it much more practical. Her tactical, Echo relocation. Now, one of the things we said, Echo, clunky, needs to move faster. It's always been a little bit odd in terms of the movement. The perks maybe need to be rolled into her kit. Well, here's what we've got. Echo will auto recall after you jump, meaning you don't have to press another button after jumping to get Echo to come back to you. So the next time you use Echo, you're just throwing Echo out. You're not calling Echo and then throwing him out yet again. Makes that way easier. Faster jump activation time, because a lot of times you'd press your jump and it would take a minute, kind of like Revenant's jump takes a minute to get going, and you can add perks to reduce that time. Well, they've just made that jump time faster, so you get jumping faster. Also, they've increased the base and max distance that Echo can fly by 10 meters, which is good. So he could fly a little bit farther. And then they've integrated Bat Bounce into the base kit. So for that is a perk, a level 3 perk, which means that you can double jump as Echo. So what happens now is that just at standard, you can double jump as Echo, which is a really cool element of this, because I think, you know, as with Echo, so you can basically double jump as Vantage in this game. So that is really, really cool. And again, a way to just buff a character by saying, here's something you had to kind of choose for and work for, a level 3 perk. Let's just make that a part of your kit. So she gets the double jump. So that's really nice. Reduced time to redeploy guns after jump to 0.2 seconds was 0.5. This one still bothers me, because what you notice when you're playing Vantage, you notice that, like, wait a second, I just jumped. I'm trying to slide now and make a play. I can't take my weapon out. Why? Why is that even a thing? To me, I feel like that is one of those, like, I'm going to put some, what's it called? A limiter on my dirt bike so I can't go fast enough. I'm going to put some chains on my car, you know, so it's steady, but it's slower in the rain or in the snow. Well, what if we got good conditions? Let's just assume we got good conditions. Let's just say we got a clear runway, a lot of open dirt, or we got some sand dunes. You don't need a limiter on there. Come out the gate showing me what you got. Don't put the limiter on right away. We don't know. And that's what happened. So, you know, it's just the weirdest thing, because you want to make these moves. You want to be like, all right, there's Echo, jump again, grab your gun, boom, right? But you would have this huge delay of half a second before you could do it. And that obviously was making it so her synergies were really off. And sometimes she'd jump in and then be like, here I am. You know, like, this is take me as I am, like, no weapon, like half a second. That's too long in Apex. Somebody's going to massive you in the face. So I'm really glad that they changed that. I personally think this can just go. Let me know what you guys think. Why didn't the FOV that Echo needs to be in a jump? So meaning if you're looking like this in your game and Echo's like, you know, to be into jump to. So like basically you're widening the field of view that Echo needs to be in to jump. So essentially, if Echo was here, right, let's say that your field of view had to be like this in order to jump to Echo. Now, instead, you could be like this and have Echo still here and still jump. So they're widening the field of view that Echo, in order to jump, needs to be in. So Echo is now easier to jump to no matter where you're looking. It's not so restrictive to where you have to look at Echo and then jump before it activates jump for you. So that should give you some freedom of movement and make jumping a lot easier. So overall, some really nice changes. Bravo Respawn on Echo relocation. I think this is a huge, huge part of Vantage's clunkiness. It has been since the beginning, and I think this will hopefully change it. Ultimate Sniper's Mark. So they integrated Ultimate Reload upgrade into the base kit. This is one of the first things I said that I really wanted. You can go back. I've talked about Vantage and things I want for her character for a long time. This is one of the things a lot of people said alongside me. So you get +2 bullets from Ultimate Accelerants. Now what happens is Ultimate Accelerants, they're used 50% faster and they provide 2 extra bullets. That is just a part of what Vantage does now. So every Ultimate Accelerant provides 2 extra bullets, plus it's 50% faster to use, very much like Wattson. The laser, a big thing we talked about, you know, hey, I'm this hidden Vantage. I got, what is she wearing camo? It looks like she's kind of wearing camo. Camo goes away when you shoot a freaking huge laser across the map that shows where you are. Well, I mean, the laser, you know, I mean, it's like, what the heck? I think, okay, there you are. So the laser lasts for 15 seconds. The timer refreshes with each shot. So if you keep shooting, it'll keep lasting 15 seconds until you don't shoot, then it'll go away. But it's hidden until you shoot. So you can have a laser, shoot, it'll last for 15 seconds, but then you could relocate, you could shoot, you could wait, right? You know, and then if you start trying to shoot again, when that timer's not ready, and when that timer's gone off, that cooldown's gone off, you could be in a completely different location and surprising them again. Now you shoot, now you get your first shot off, then the laser appears. So it gives Vantage the leg up in the fight, which is nice. And the laser more representative of aim. Sometimes that laser would look super wonky and be like coming out here and then suddenly here, here, here. So now it's more representative of the aim of the character. Upgrades, level 2, new Controlling My Prey, gain access to ring consoles and zone overcharge. So basically she's now got zone overcharge. She had the ability to gain access to ring consoles with Ring Master, which is great. And so now that's a new kind of like upgraded version of that original perk. Also new improved mark. Marked enemies, enemy icon is visible through walls, briefly highlights enemies, and reveals their health bar to your squad upon mark. So this gives your squad information, and it works through walls, and it highlights the enemies as well. So you get a little bit of like a Bloodhound highlight or a Sparrow highlight in what you're doing for the enemy's movements. Upgrades for level 3, tactical cooldown. Just take 5 seconds off your tactical. That's pretty good, and I think a lot of players will use it. I think the tactical cooldown as of now is, let's see, I'm trying to look here, 20 seconds, so it turns into 15. It's a full 25% cooldown reduction, which is pretty good for a tactical. Sniper cover adds gun shield to Sniper's Mark, which is going to be interesting too. Another option, you can go more defensive. You know you're going to hold up. You know you're going to post up. You want to win those trades. It's going to be super hard for someone to out-trade you. They're going to have to hit straight-up headshots. Plus, they don't have, you know, your sniper that marks, plus adds the damage amp. So if you add the gun shield to that, you're going to be pretty tanky. Now you got some more movement, you got some more defensive utility options, or you're just going to be able to have your echolocation up that much faster. I think this is a good direction for Vantage. Does she have what she needs to compete with the team? Well, giving her those ring consoles and, you know, keeping that a part of her kit, integrating some of the Sniper's Mark things, and some of the tactical, you know, upgrades that they've had. I think that is a valuable thing. I still do not anticipate this character as it stands being immediately introduced into high-level play. But I think there's going to be a few. I think there's going to be a few players. I'm excited. You guys let me know who you think might do this. Alberlelli is sometimes one of those players that does this. Alliance Hockeys is sometimes one of those players that does this. You know, Zach Mazer is sometimes one of those players who kind of tries to go and throw a random, you know, wrench into the idea of what could be a, you know, a well-performing ALGS composition. We'll see if anyone has the gall to play her. But I think in terms of casual, go test her out. This comes out next week on the 24th. Go test her out. I certainly will be there, and we'll see how much this changes. Now, with that comes some big nerfs to One of the characters that everyone was hate watching for so long. I'm telling you, I've seen so many hate posts. Shiv FPS was saying this other one, man. I even got, Shiv FPS was calling people names, on Ash and Ballistic. He went in the other day, he said, if you run Ash, Ballistic, and Alter, and run at least one Devo or more while 3 stacks sweating and hand holding in pubs unranked, I hope you uninstall the game. Have good luck winning a ranked game, because holy burp, you need it with that no skill, noob ass gameplay. Bruh. Angry face. Yeah, Shiv, yeah, he wasn't having it. I understand it. It was just the meta. It is the meta. If you go back to my tier list, I don't spend a lot of time talking about these characters, but clearly Ash, Ballistic, and Alter have been, the cream of the crop right now, especially as a trio. They're very, very deadly. And so there's some changes have come to not just one, not just two, but all 3 of those characters here. So Ash, the passive, decrease the dash cooldown to 8 seconds. So this is a buff. Just to be very clear, she now has a dash 8-second cooldown instead of a 10-second cooldown. It is a buff. Just so everyone is clear, they took 2 seconds off of that, but there's a reason. Her tactical, they slightly decrease the tether strength when pulling hard, like when using movement abilities, and so it's not as strong. It's not going to yoink you as it had been. Upgrade level 2, they move the ultimate, double ultimate, from level 3 to level 2, which is dual breach. And then they have a new one called Charge Knock, gain HP regeneration on a knock. So Ash can get some regeneration to her health when getting a kill. So you want to play aggressive, you want to get that health back and keep on going. This is helpful. If you get a knock and you get a kill, your HP is going to regen. You full kill that person, you swap their shield, you're basically back at full health. So if you want to kind of like keep the paces going as Ash, that's a nice little choice as well. But I think you're going to take dual breach, because why not have 2 ultimates? The upgrades for level 3, Ghost in the Machine, that was removed, and Greedy Snare and Twin Snares are now moved to level 3. So I think Greedy Snare and Twin Snares, you either get 2 or one allows you to snare multiple people and is much bigger. So at the end of the day, this is what they're doing. They're rebalancing Ash's kit. They're taking down some of her kits that are frustrating to play against, and they are preserving the fun of dashing around on the battlefield. They're also lowering the base cooldown of her dash, and that's because they're taking away Ash's double dash. That's right. So Ghost in the Machine, it's removed. There is no double dash anymore. 1 dash for Ash, and if she runs into a Wattson fence and gets electrocuted, no dash, right? So Ash is coming back down to reality. She still has her double ult charge, and that's going to be earlier in the game. So it allows you and your team to stay mobile. So clearly I think this is a good buff nerf, because it keeps the essence of what the character can still do from a tactical perspective, but it takes away some of the brokenness of trying to fight against a character who's just like, whoa, hey, whoa, way, whoa. It's just like too much, stay in frame. We're getting too old for this, man. I agree with a lot of you guys that it was a little bit too much. And now it still seems like a character with a dash in this game is just fun. You could see it with Sparrow, you see it with Ash. It's just fun. It's that extra little bit of movement and sauce and spice that keeps the Apex movement flowing the way that you really, really enjoy. And yeah, I'm excited for this one. I think it's the right buff nerf. Does she need more? We'll find out. But hopefully in tandem with these other things, it'll make this trio of characters a little less have to play. Alter, her Void Nexus, which is her ultimate, allows you to relocate back to where it's been placed. Anywhere it feels like on the map is getting some changes. So the chase portal usage warning delay reduced to 3.5 seconds was 5 seconds. The chase portal activation delay reduced to 6 seconds was 8 seconds. Cooldown after usage increased to 60 seconds was 30 seconds. Okay, so these are from the previous hotfix. This is the new one. Now, I don't know a lot of the verbiage for Alter's actual abilities, but to the best of my comprehension, this is what this is. So when you are Alter, I think I might have just said Ash, when you're Alter and you use your Void Nexus to go back, let's say you're downed, after a while, it tells the enemies around you that are fighting that you used the Void Nexus. Then there's a portal that opens up that they can use to chase you to the Void Nexus. Now, typically the delay came after 5 seconds to let you know that a Void Nexus was used to get out. And it also was 8 seconds typically until you could take that second portal as a enemy and go chase the altar or the teammate of altar that had used the Void Nexus to go and travel back and try to get revived. Now it is 3.5 seconds before the delay, the warning delay is given, and then it is 6 seconds, so just a mere 2.5 seconds after that, to when you can actually now use the portal and chase altar or whoever took altar's portal. Also, the cooldown of using it, so like let's say that happens again, you go out for another fight and then you get downed again, it's not 30 seconds, it's now a full 60 seconds. So if you were to go get down immediately again and it's still 40 seconds, you know, you'd have 20 seconds on the clock just sitting there before you can go and Void Nexus again as someone who is on Altar's team or as the Altar player. Overall, they're just trying to make sure that you could punish Altar and their team as they try to reset, and seems like this will be a good thing. However, I like that this is a little bit tame because like Altar's a character I think works for Apex to be good. I think she's a well-designed character. She's really creative. She's fun to watch and play. You just don't want it to be like spammable. Like it's really, to me, it's a numbers thing where it's like, if I make the right play, I down you, I chase you, and when I'm chasing you, I'm risking. You know, you could have a fully shielded player like a Wraith Portal ready to go fight me right when I get there. So it's a little bit of a risk, but I could still keep the pressure on versus like you guys can get out. It's 8 seconds till I can even chase you guys. And by the time that's happening, you've already Ash ultimated or something crazy like that away. So now I can't chase you. You know what I mean? You've already reset. So I think that's good. A ballistic, tactical, Whistler. So the damage on activation reduced to 15. This was 20. Means when it hits you and activates, it's going to do 15 damage. It used to do 20. The damage from overheat, meaning if you shoot back and you fill that bar, it's going to do 30 damage. It's now 15. I talked about ballistic. My holistic ballistic opinions here are this. Ballistic's real thing is Tempest. And the fact that you could scale Tempest on getting knocks, just like, you know, we saw earlier where Nox can help, you know, charge ultimates. Nox can do a lot of good things. I'm all good with that. But for Tempest, it was too good. And so they removed that in a previous hotfix. They also did this overheat damage, 30 to 15, in a hotfix earlier. I think it was last week. They also changed a little bit of like extra bullets, lasting bullets, where these were. One moved to level 2, one moved to level 3. I could find those out for you. But one of the things that I would say is that this ultimately is them thinking that the Whistler is just too much damage. Now, for me, I think one of the best things that I've ever had in terms of like my time as a content creator and someone interacting with people like you, my audience, the Rain Day gaming, man, like what this all came from. Before there was a studio or lights or, you know, it was just me and a camera and some ideas and a game called Smite, you know what I mean? And so when I went in, was having conversations with my developer friend who currently is working on an amazing game right now. I had a chance to play test. I can't wait to show you guys more of that. But one of my good friends, you know, he's worked at High Res, he's led a team at Riot. When he was working on Paladins with me, we would have weekly meetings with him and my other co-caster, Pretty Hair, who now is working at Epic on Fortnite. His wife works on Fortnite as well, a producer. And so the beauty of this is we would go and have conversations as we were learning, but also as we were watching high level. And we would say, hey, listen, I know you're looking at these stats, right? But when you watch the way this plays, the reality is different. And this is where I've always been like, I haven't lent into stats as much as some other esports casters, because sometimes stats tell one thing, but your eyes tell you another thing. And you have to be willing to split the difference and sometimes fall on one side or the other. I've always fallen on the side of what are my eyes telling me? Because there's something about sports competition. You can feel it. It's real, it's palpable. What I feel for real in this for Ballistic is that his Whistler is not the problem. It's not the element that is really making his impact at high level move. Like, I almost feel like you could take the damage down to 5, right? Like, you could almost make it no damage. 15, sure. 30 is a lot, I will say. 30 is a lot. 20 is a lot. But that's not the keystone element. It's not the dam that when the log that when removed breaks the dam and allows the river to flow. I think it's about the Tempest. They've adjusted some of that now, but even the dev note here, feeling Ballistic's Whistler was doing too much damage for how consistent it is to hit. I just think that's not really what makes Ballistic so effective. And then my friend would counter and say, well, statistically, this is what we're seeing. These are being hit. He's winning these encounters. Ever since we made this change to this is what's occurred. And I would say, well, guess what? You probably also made the Tempest change where on Nox, they get the ability to extend that. And that also was a big deal that maybe you're, looking at the causation to be the Whistler when it was really the Tempest Nox and the ability for players to snowball fights in that way. Yes, but blah, 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 right? And I said, okay, well, maybe that is the case. But however, if you are looking at it like this, maybe the Tempest and the Whistler were all not necessarily like broken or unbroken. Ballistic just wasn't getting played, right? So maybe now the fact that you've gotten a demonstration for what Ballistic can do from all high-level players, it's now shifted into high-level ranked, and now it's shifted into casual or at least like plat, diamond, decent ranked. Like maybe now people just know what to do with this character when most people completely ignored him. And so you're dealing with a character that was busted when used well, and now you've got to totally revamp, and it's not just the Whistler, it's the Tempest and the Whistler. There's a lot of elements to it. So these are conversations, you never almost know the right answer, but I would just say that, I think it's interesting, and I would salivate to have these conversations with my good friends, and we would do something. It's Friday. Wow, me, him, Pretty Hair, and another great designer friend would go out every Friday to a Thai restaurant nearby. We call it Fry Thai. And so all of us coming from esports, from designing different games, and as friends and gamers would come and chat. And we did this. I mean, it was like 3 years we did this. It was an incredible collection and just like absorption of information. I know I'm taking a little bit of time to talk about this, but hopefully there's some fun thing that you guys are enjoying with me as I go down kind of memory lane on how cool that was. And it's a rare experience. I don't know if I'll ever have a moment like that in my life again, where I'm meeting with my friends every Friday who are in the gaming industry, who are all working different disciplines, who are all bringing different levels of expertise, eyes, and also passion to the conversation. I would love somehow that to happen again, but either way, I just got to say, it's just a great thing to be able to do. And so maybe you guys and I on Friday can talk game design and greater things. Maybe I'll start a series where we start doing that. I don't know. But yeah, all love to all those guys, man. Great memories. Okay. So Conduit as well. So will Ballistic be handled? Here's a real question. I don't know. I think that this is not much. Lasting Bullet is where the Whistler lifetime is tripled. That is now a level 3 perk, and also Extra Bullet, where you get an extra charge, is a level 2 perk. So a little bit less control early on, a little bit more options early on for more Whistlers, and then of course a lot more control to level 3. The other one is if the enemy is hit by a Whistler, they will be silenced for a short time. That's the other level 3 right there as well. Okay, here we go. Conduit. Tactical Radiant Transfer. So reduced cooldown to 21 seconds. This is 31 seconds. This happened earlier. It was live already, like for the last 2 weeks, so you can play this right now. But reduce recharge delay after damage to 1 second. It was 2 seconds. I think that's huge. What happens is if you're getting healed by Conduit or Conduit's healing and you still have your shielding up, you're going to be able to recharge, but you have to sit out of combat for a while, or at least not be damaged for a while. What that meant was 2 seconds had to go by of kind of like inaction, or, before you started getting your shielding back. But now it's 1 second. So it's literally halved. And that is a major difference. I mean, sitting back for 1 second is different than sitting back for 2 seconds. Anyone in a fast-paced Apex fight will know that for sure. That shield battery, getting that shield battery off just before someone comes around the corner and tries to fight you again, we've all been there, right? Imagine if that was half. Like you would literally have got your shield battery off and be waiting around the corner. That's the difference that this is going to make. I'm excited. I think this is a big up for Conduit. One of the characters that I think is on the move. Probably around B, A tier for me right now in terms of what she's gotten changes. So you let me know in the comment section below your experiences with Conduit after this, and if you're excited for this recharge delay. I think that's a perfect pairing. I think this is really kind of what she needs. Now, if you want to change her and really get her going, I think it's the ultimate. I think it's the ultimate. Needs a little bit of love. All right, Mirage, tack and ult. Decoys now swap weapons when you do, and also properly holster melee weapons, meaning they'll just be a little bit clearer. Clearer mirroring what you do, making it harder to tell who you are. Not a huge Mirage fan, but for our Mirage mains out there you go. All right, ammo and attachment. Some changes to Arc Stars. Explosion reduces momentum if hit while in air or sliding. So it's actually going to slow you while after a jump or sliding, clearly doing a lot of this based on the slides and the in-air stuff that's going on with Sparrow and with Ashe and all those dashes and things like that. And also, it consumes the cooldown on Ashe's dash and Sparrow's double jump, as I was just talking about, meaning that if you get hit with an Arc Star, you don't get your dash. So, like, you get hit with an Arc Star, and usually you could dash away and, like, still create some space. Your dash is gone. Sparrow, your double jump is gone. Now, they reset very quickly, but it consumes that, which, you're going to see those people tapping that space or going, wait, what? Oh, I'm dead. That's going to be a big thing to kind of learn how to play around as well. Arc Star is getting more powerful. Wattson also getting free Arc Stars now if anything goes into her pylon. So, more value there. Better things. Countering Ashe a little bit easier. So Wattson coming into the meta. These are things that you can't just look at by themselves. You got to put them all together. Okay, hop-ups. Gun shield generator, I like this. Can now be used by the R301. We've needed a reason to pick up the R301. You get so much value. It feels lighter as a weapon, right? But you still get your 50% movement slow when using the R301. That's one of the worrisome things. When aiming down sights of these ARs, you still get that massive movement slow like you get for Spitfire and Rampage. And so how do you make them compete if they're not going to do enough damage? They're not going to be faster. They're lighter, but that means that they're still not going to be, hitting as heavy, and it's just not enough to get the job done. We'll give it a little bit of utility. Why does my light keep going off? Me and this, we're going to have a problem. And now you come back on and you then change color. What's going on? Oh my good. You know what? I'm going to need to I'm going to have a conversation with this light in a second, guys. Come on. I'm going to keep this all camera though, because you work for me. Okay. Don't forget it. All right, let me know if you guys like this with the R301. I like it. Main point is that it needs a little bit of love. It's kind of in a middling position where it's not really, better than what a Spitfire or Rampage does or a Devotion does. It's not really better than what an R9 or a Car or a Volt does. And it's kind of in this middle ground. It used to be one of the best, if not the best weapon to pick up, but now it's in a little bit of a weird spot. So, having the gun shield generator, maybe that helps bring it back into play. It's at least something to try. The accelerator, removed from the Devotion, the Mastiff, the Bocek, and the Sentinel. This means that if you equip them with tier 3, level 3, purple attachments, then they will automatically have kind of like, oh wait, no, that's not what the accelerator is. That is not what the accelerator is. The accelerator helps players charge up their ultimate and gain Evo. Right, that's what it is. So, I thought, when I first kind of took a glance at this, I thought this was removing the Devo, getting the purple. No, never mind. Sorry. So this is basically Nox Grant 20% ult charge, okay? It increases the ult charge from damage and increases your Evo gained from damage, okay? So that's what the accelerator does. So 20% Nox and just Evo gain and ult charge. Now, that is added to the Havoc, the Flatline, and the Mozambique. Why is that important? Well, maybe we'll see more Mozambiques instead of P2020s. Maybe the Flatline will come back into play, which is a really fun AR that has just not been utilized as much in high-level play. And the Havoc, which has been completely outshone by the Devotion, well, it's getting some love. And speaking of that, the Havoc, AR, previous hotfix, improve the recoil and increase damage to 20. It was 19. A full bullet of damage makes a big difference, not only in the magazine size, but sometimes it's that one bullet that just changes whether you can ultimately win a fight. Remember, you're not talking about just the damage of 20. You're talking about the potential of a 36 headshot. So, that one bullet could be the difference in truly knocking someone or not. 36 damage often is the difference after you both empty your magazines between who's winning that fight or who's getting down or who's staying alive. So this is a big deal, and the recoil being improved, I think, is even more. The Devotion, because people are finding a way to equip it so well and so quickly, either by just getting lucky, either by, really focusing on the value of it and just prioritizing that, or by their teammates helping them out and saying, okay, my best player, you're going to have a fully equipped. Here's the purple mag. Here's that purple bolt. Sorry, not bolt, barrel. The Havoc is really having a hard time competing. And so now with improved recoil to match this, it'll be a little bit easier to get some value from the Havoc, hopefully, and maybe be a choice that people make when they don't want to run a devotion or don't think that they can get all those purple attachments right away. The Hemlock Burst AR, very much like the Prowler as well, which we'll see a little bit later, have reduced burst fire delay. So that just means the burst fire is going to happen faster. So usually there's a delay in between each of the burst fires. They've reduced it. They haven't said how much they've reduced it, but essentially it's going to be faster burst fire. So that's going to mean that weapon is probably outputting more damage. So that'll be fun. It got a buff earlier on in the season, so probably still needed a little bit more love. The 30-30 repeater gets a nerf when using the Skull Piercer. Goes from 86 to 80 in terms of damage on the head, and then 130 to 120 in terms of fully charged up. So remember, it's a weapon you could charge. So at base, you're going to hit 80 and 120 instead of that 86, 130. Not a major difference. This is still a great weapon without the Skull Piercer, so I don't see this changing the value of this weapon enough. It's still going to be an S tier weapon for sure. Maybe it'll make you lean towards the Scout here and there, but a lot of times, even without the Skull Piercer, 30-30 for me is the way to go. Bow check compound bow. This was a previous hot fix. I said they needed to do this big time, especially since they ran a bow check, and I love you, Respawn, but you ran a bow check contest. So give me your bow check clips. I'm like, let's start off with a bang. Let's get this weapon feeling good because it was a little underwhelming. I think it's still trying to find its way since coming out of the care package, being so strong and now trying to be just a weapon that should be used. I think it's found a little bit of that. We'll see if it can continue to find some of that though, throughout the season, especially as some of these weapons change. Increased fire rate, max charge, damage increases 65, and the explosive arrow on hit damage 55. It used to be 40, so they started off pretty underwhelming. Now it's got a little bit of damage. The shotgun, a big change to the Mastiff. Basically, when you were firing your Mastiff, if you fired at fast speed, your Mastiff would go like this, and by the time you were here, it'd be ready to shoot again. So instead of getting fully back to normal, right, to like resetting in your point of view, you'd shoot, and you'd be like never really getting back to your main center so that you could align your shot, then shoot, right? So that's kind of what they've decided to do. They basically said, we're going to change the animation. So after you shoot, right when you're able to shoot again, your Mastiff is going to be center screen. So you could easily align the dot and your shot for where you want that damage to go. So it's just making it more readable for the weapon. So this is something that, quality of life, I think, but a nice quality of life. Improve horizontal recoil in burst fire and full auto for the Prowler, meaning that going like this is obviously going to be a lot easier in terms of controlling, and they reduced the burst fire delay, which they also did for the Hemlock. So the Prowler getting a nice little change of pace here. And I think full auto Prowler, usually it's just a beast. How much have you guys been using it? We don't see it in Pro League at all, but is there some value here? I want to check it out after this as well. The snipers get a bit of a change, only the Sentinel though, and it's an increased rechamber speed when energized, meaning that you can rechamber your bullets faster and get a shot off, hopefully, when you have a shield cell consumed and it's in that energized state, doing more damage to enemies when it's hit, hopefully cracking those shields. That's it for weapons and a overall update. We're going to have pubs and ranked on Kings Canyon, World's Edge, and Broken Moon. Kings Canyon, World's Edge, Broken Moon. Excited for those three maps. Kings Canyon, World's Edge, take me back, baby. I love it. Mixtape's going to be TDM, Control, and Gun Run. TDM on Fragment, Party Crasher and Skulltown, Control, Caustic, Production Yard, and Lava Siphon, and Gun Run on Skulltown, Monument, and the Core. We've got that new LTM coming in next week, I believe on Tuesday for the 1v1s, and it's going to be a lot of fun. The first event, you cannot use abilities of Legends. The second run from July 15th to August 5th, Legends are able to use abilities, so it'll add a new exciting strategic layer. Also for ranked, it's going to show the tier distribution of your squad instead of per individual. Rank matchmaking is made for squads and not just like you as a person, and it's based on the highest RP value in your squad. So this change will group all of your squad members, pre-made or otherwise, and show the entire squad based on the highest ranked tier in that squad. Ladder Champion Dive Trail granted to all players that completed the Ladder Champion Placement Challenge in Split 1 and will be accessible for all in Split 2. If you wish to retain access to the Dive Trail, you must complete the same challenge in this current split. A couple of bugs. One of the things I think to note that I've seen players talking about as well is, where is it? I think it has to do with track challenges, should once those auto arsenals fire, audio, third person footsteps, PC full shit. I'm getting there, guys. I'm getting there. Fixed Ash, Lifeline, a couple of Greedy Snare now plants will consistently. Stinger Bolt no longer instantly breaks. Revenant Shadow Shroud, Quality of Life, Battle Pass, Arsenals increase the size of the consoles, making it less likely you unintentionally grab a weapon. The new weapon while enhancing your weapons. Battle Pass, gifting, fix misprediction hitches. Gibraltar's Arm Shield. And, oh, here it is. I got it. I found it. Thermite Grenade visual updates as well. Rewrote the hold to use system to make it more accurate. Players should swap weapons on accident less often. Here's what the new Thermite looks like, by the way. Thermite before, and here's the Thermite after. Oh, interesting. Wow, that's a lot more. I feel like that is a lot. So, okay, at the top is where I'm noticing the biggest difference. So there's that little gap right. I mean, it just kind of goes up. The sparks are flying a little bit up there. Yeah, upstated sparks to enhance the feel. Reduce number of particles, reduce an overdraw. Cool. So added detonation effects as well. So when it detonates, you're going to see it when you throw it, I guess. So that's pretty cool. Fun. And then it fades. Nice. All right. So couple of nice little adjustments. And here's the other one. Experimenting with lowered volume, inaudible, friendly footsteps when under significant threat. So a lot of times when you're fighting in Apex, I know a lot of us have experienced this before. The fact is that you hear footsteps in a fight and you don't know if it's your teammates. You don't know if it is you. You don't know if it's an enemy. Now they're reducing your teammates or your friendly footsteps if you are fighting someone else, which would make it easier to know the difference between them and an enemy trying to sweep in from behind. That's it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. It's a long one. And for that, leave a like, subscribe, and share this with your friends. Let me know what you think about these patches in the comment section below, and stay tuned. More videos dropping very soon here on Reindeer Gaming. As always, never give up, never stop gaming. I'll see you all next time, my friends.